tuned to Livewire at 6. With us this evening, we have a very talented producer from Public Access, Access Sacramento, Channel 17 and 18, Ms. Robin Gage, and I am Natalie Evans, your host. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Would you give us a little background about this infamous Robin Gage, the producer?
How far back do you want me to go?
Let's start at the beginning.
Let's see.
We only have half an hour now, so don't.
Okay, well, I can put it in the condensed Reader's Digest version.
That works for me.
I used to bring all the neighborhood kids into my house when I lived in Santa Maria, Southern California, and we used to make up plays and dance routines and things like that. And I always dreamed I wanted a camera before video was even around. Then it kind of went from there, but I was stuck with it. Anything that the school had to offer, I did it. They had a morning program where you could sing songs or read poems or stories. Man, I have a stack, because every time you do one, they'd give you a certificate. And anything that was out there, I did it. I just loved being the center of attention, but not only that, I was good at it. And I love people, and I like being vivacious and flamboyant and just, out there. And then when I got into high school, I was in the RLP program at Channel 6 when we were just in bungalows before that nice big huge building they've got now, and they always stuck me in front of the camera. I said, well, she's really good with people, let her do the interviews. And so we had to do a short story once, and then we did the interviews, whatever. I can't even remember what it was. I think it had something to do with reading the tarot cards. I think I was into it at that time.
Tarot cards.
Yeah. I think, they go, what do you do? And I said, I read tarot cards. Well, can you do us a tarot reading? Sure, And so I went from there, and I graduated from there, but I just always had the knack for it. It wasn't that I grew up with dreams of being an actress. I was good at it.
Okay.
And I just went towards that, and I said, well, good. But once I got here, I was in radio for 25 years ago. I started in radio, doing commercials and public service announcements and doing events and, that kind of stuff. When I was, 15, I think?
Oh, we're going to add now.
So, okay. I hit the big 4-0 this October.
Oh, my.
And, see, I'm not afraid to tell people my age, If it's like, you don't have a 19-year-old son.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yes, I do. And then I started doing that on radio, and I liked radio because you really don't care what you look like as long as you know your voice and you know how to communicate with people.
Right.
And then that's when I did the radio, and then I did ROP and television, and really didn't like myself on television. I just didn't like the way I looked. And so I was real critical of myself, and I said, well, how about if I do some of this behind-the-scenes kind of stuff, costuming and that kind of thing. So I kind of geared towards that, and then I kept doing events, parades, anything that would get my mug on TV, I was there. I've had 15 minutes and then some. So I did parades, events like the first Mardi Gras, and they go, we have a press conference, da-da-da, can you be there? I even played the Easter Bunny once in Old Sac.
But you're the same person who said you didn't want to be on camera. So what happened?
Well,
what changed you?
I figured that was my step, to get there. So when somebody approached me about this place, I'd never heard of it. I think it had been open a year and a half. And I thought, do my own TV? What do you mean? And so I came down, the first person to talk to was Jenny.
Oh, Jenny,
and I'm like, well, I have ideas, but I can't do this. I walked into my first editing booth, I said, I can't do this.
How many awards for editing have you won?
Oh, gosh. I think 3 for editing.
Okay.
I think 3. We've won over 10 already, overall, for the shows.
Okay.
And
so we'll get into later.
Right. I got in there, and I took the class, and I just sat in the booth and said, okay, I'm not going to be intimidated by this. If I come up at a roadblock, I'm just going to stick my head out the door and say, help! And that's how I learn. Then once you learn the buttons on, then you learn technique.
Right.
Like a Spielberg movie. You can tell Spielberg from, a John Carpenter movie. So I learned technique, and what I realized I was really good at was music videos. Give me some music, give me the video, I can splice these things together, and I was real good with snappy MTV type video editing. So I geared towards more of that. And then I started learning camera work. I thought, well, I can't just be dependent on, always having a camera person there. And there's been a few times I haven't gotten my own show because I was the only one who knew how to run the camera. And I let my co-host do it. I'm like, so I turned the camera around. Well, hey, here I am, I set it up on a tripod, and remote control said, this is my show and I need to be on it. Or we'd flip back and forth. So I learned camera, editing. And then once I learned the editing, I learned the Amiga. And I remember John Jimenez. He says, well, I'm going to sit down and show him. Like, he's real fast. I'm like, whoa, slow down.
Right.
Let me retain some of this. And so once he showed me, and I wrote it down in language that I could understand, I learned it, and I got real good at it.
Is that when Access also had Grant High School?
Right, at Grant. And so I got over there, and then A.B. Roll, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, Steve Roberson. He reminds me so much of Will Smith. I just,
he does.
He's a nut. So he taught me, and actually the best way he was teaching me is he sat behind me and let me run the board, and he just talked me through it. This is how I teach editing now. I said, you're not going to learn unless you learn by putting your hands on and knowing where to click and where to point. So any new equipment that comes in, I'm scared. It's like learning to ride a bike for the first time. But I said, I want to learn this. I'm headlong in this, like toaster. Ooh, I want to learn. Show me how this works, And so anything that comes on line, we got new equipment set. Okay, I'm right there. I want to learn how to use this. So I get in there and I start using it, and then it actually makes you a better producer, better cameraman, better editor, because it's like, okay, well, this is the way I want the final thing to look. So this has got to be shot this way.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Viewers, just so that you know, this is a live talk show. You can call in, and the number will appear at the bottom of your screen, and we definitely welcome any kind of calls that you might have from Ms. Robin Gage. Go ahead, Robin.
All my fans will call me.
Yes.
Lots of viewers. It surprised me. When the show came on, we were on twice a month, and it was called Take Two because we were always messing up our lines. And I didn't host the first 2.5 years. The guy I had was really good, and so people started recognizing us. And I started getting music videos in, and I thought, maybe I have something here. But I didn't want to do MTV. I mean, everybody wants to be on TV. I don't. I always want to steer away from what everybody else wants. And like, I don't need, MTV ain't that great. Give me a break. So they're worldwide,
So what?
I thought, well, there's a way I got to do this. There's got to be some way I can do this to make it look different. So I would come up with new and ingenious ways of making it look different. And then it got to the point where the one host I had, he just wasn't funny enough. He was more MTV. And I said, look, you've got to do something different. And he had the hair happening there, and he'd always bring these beauty pageant bimbos on. I'm like, okay. But then he started getting picky, and I said, this is my show.
Okay.
So I'm like, you're out of here. And so I started hosting it. And I am not your Cindy Crawford looking type of person. I am me. I am normal. I am average.
It's got to be me.
It is me. And then I started getting, we had actually 6 hosts. We would alternate. And so we would have 2 at a time, and we would think of funny things to do. We had like a chroma key and pretend like we were skateboarding, and we had a Star Trek one, and it got funny and spontaneous. I said, okay, well, I'm going to say this, so you say that. And at one show where I was on the monitor, and Janelle, my co-host, was sitting down, and he kept threatening to turn me off. I said, you can't do that, And so we did something really different. And so we started getting the phone calls and the letters.
Nice.
Who is this Robin girl? She's really funny. And, of course, always came the, you suck, you're this, you're that, you're ugly. And I'm like, you know what? This is public access. Come on down. If you think you can do a better job, go ahead.
Question. All right, so you started having your own television show. You started doing the music videos. What other shows have you done?
Oh, I did a documentary on twins, which is my first one. And those are by far the hardest things to do. I did a documentary of Mustangs across America. I didn't have to shoot anything. They just gave me their footage. Here you go.
Okay, hold on. Let me tell you. As soon as we come back from this break, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Livewire at 6. I'm Natalie Evans, your host, and with me this evening I have Miss Robin Gage, producer extraordinaire and award-winning of many areas. Ready to So tell us more about the documentary.
Okay, the Mustangs Across America was the 30th anniversary of the Mustang car, which is, if you own a Mustang, it's like, apple pie and baseball. It's American, all American.
Okay.
And they love their cars. And so I'm like, well, this is really interesting because I own a Mustang. I used to, not anymore. And so she gave me like 12 hours of footage for the whole trip. They went from Sacramento, where it originated, all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina. And so I'm like, God, how am I going to put this into 1 hour? So I sat on it for about 3 months, and they kept harping me about it. When's it going to be done? But see, I didn't have the flow, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I finally said, okay, I know exactly how I'm going to make this so it's not boring. So what I did is she narrated the whole thing behind the camera, which made it really nice. Is I took a shot of a map, and then she had pointed out where all the cities they were going to be going. So we started out with Sacramento, and I superimposed it where they went through the little marker where they kind of go through and start the thing. And then each city they would go by would do a musical segment of them shooting going into it. It says welcome to Tennessee, and then the map, so it would show that. And so what we did is we took some of the stuff. She goes, well, here we are at such and such, and they're doing da-da-da, and then I would cut in a music segment, like the girl who followed them to document the whole thing. She said, well, this is how we do it, and so I did. I took all of the 60s musics I could find. It's called classic car music or something like that. On the road again, and oh God, just everything you can think of. Cobra, my little Cobra, because there was a Cobra that had kept breaking down. So I interacted all of this and kind of built up, and I got Mustang footage from Ford of when it first came on the market, and why they're the only car that has a 64 and a half, because they waited 1.5 years before coming out with a new model. And so we went through the history, and it's questionable. They question me and go, well, this is commercial. And I'm like, no. This is about the car. We're not trying to sell Mustangs. We're just talking about the history of the car. And so it all flowed really well. And I gave it to the club, the Mustang Club, and the one guy who insisted he wasn't going to share his footage liked it better than his. I saw his footage. Tacky, he left the date and time, and I'm like, tacky. And so I used a lot of toaster effects and CG, and it was snappy. I never stayed too long on one thing, and I said, this is going to bore people to tears. And so they liked it a lot, and it's, from as far as I know, it's across the United States now because they sent copies to everybody.
Oh, nice.
And I thought, great, this is great. They loved it. They absolutely loved it.
Then what was next?
Oh gosh.
What about your shows here?
Well, okay, music videos too. We're taking a break for the summer, and then I came up with my new talk show that you've been on, my girlfriend's talk show, which started out as a radio talk show. We had somebody watch our show and said, you girls need to be on radio. We never thought about it, and we went up there to Nevada City and did our radio show with Terry Wallace and cut it up. We even did our show at the same time. He says, you girls really ought to be on radio. And I thought, well, what would we call ourselves? So we sat there and thought about it and thought, well, no, I don't want to call it Robin and Jamie because, and we sat there and she said something to me and I went, well, girlfriend, that's funny. And she looked at me and I went, that's it. We'll call it girlfriends. And then we started talking about, stuff. And it says, well, isn't this like male bashing? I said, no, we're talking about women too, the fact, why do they wear thong bikinis and, why do men do certain things? I said, we're not bashing men, we're just bruising them a little bit. And come to find out, the men liked the show more than the women did. Because the men would go, that's the truth, why do women do that? Yeah, that's the truth, And,
really?
And so our engineer was a guy, so he had listened to us, cutting up on, well, why do men, want the lights on when, this and how come they wear their Speedos when they know they ain't got the body for it, and this kind of thing. So they go, yeah, and I thought, well, we got something here. And then Jamie left me. She moved to L.A., and so I didn't have the radio show to do anymore. And I thought, well, this would probably be really good on TV. And I started thinking about TV, and then I saw Light Date with Sari, and I'm like, she took my idea. It's just a bunch of people, guys and girls, sitting around and talking about, well, all she talks about sex because she's a sex educator. And I thought, well, wait a minute, I can do this a little one better. We'll talk about everything from bad habits to cosmetic surgery to all this, and we'll just get a couple of girls to sit around to talk candidly about this. And that's what we did, dating and, all kinds of stuff. And
so you're still on the air?
Yeah, 2 more weeks. We're on Friday nights on Channel 18 at 11 o'clock because they said it was adult material. So, fine, But anybody who wants to be on can be on, guys and girls, although the name of the show is called Girlfriends.
So how have you been able to balance your personal life with your career life?
Oh, the first couple of years was really hard because I didn't know the equipment, and I was in here at least 3 or 4 times a week. My mom never saw me. She was always taking care of my kids. And I thought, okay, there's got to be an easier way to do this. So we started doing Take Two in the studio twice a month, and we realized we could tape 3 shows, just the segues. The editing wasn't hard because it was segue, music video, really easy. And I thought, okay, but this is kind of boring. So what I did is I would put packages together. The UI report, the useless information. So could you now give me about 10? So we pick out subjects and he just one right after, and they only have to be 2 or 3 minutes apart.
Right.
And had all the graphics, everything was all done before anything. So we got so far ahead that all I had to do is just slip everything in, and I had a log sheet. This goes here, that goes there, da-da-da-da-da, and everything was done. So I thought, okay, now I have to go in twice a month, actually once a week. Twice a month to shoot, and once a week the other times to edit. And I realized I could get more shows done. So it's just, you have to figure out time-saving ways around it. You just have to find some way of making it easier for you. But then there's that one special show that takes you forever to edit, and I've had a couple of those, but I've saved those for, okay, I want to do a Mother's Day special. Well, I'm starting way back in February, on that. So you just got to start way ahead of time.
To go into your personal life, but not to go into your personal life very deeply, how many children do you have?
I have 4.
You have 4 children. You feel like telling the ages?
Josh is 19, almost 19. He'll be on 19 in August. The twins are 17 and a half, and my youngest is 12. 12 and a half, actually, going on 40.
They usually are at that age.
Yeah.
So what is it that you see yourself doing in terms of your personal life and your kids? Do you see yourself as a role model? Or?
Oh, definitely, especially for teenagers, because a lot of my friends, my son's prom date is one of my good friends. And everybody says, why would a 40-year-old woman want to be with an 18-year-old? And I said, well, she's just a friend. If we go out to a movie together, what's wrong with that? We went to Hawaii together. I relate really well to 14 to 25 because I know what they're going through. I went through the same thing, and I'm still here. And my friend Carrie, she's always saying, God, I wish you were as cool as my mom, And I'm like, my son's friends would always say, your mom is so cool. I said, it's because I'm with the times here,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, don't take drugs when I've never tried them. I was there, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just going to be talking out my ears going, it's going to go in one ear, out the other. So I just sit down and talk to him like a person, but I'm still mom. And if he does something that I totally 100% don't approve of, I'm going to get on his back about it. And I'm going to write him about it.
But so much that is happening with young females in this day and time in terms of glass ceilings and lack of job opportunities and things along that line. Would you also encourage someone to continue in a road, and let's say your particular path that you are blazing?
Oh, it's hard. But the thing is you can't blame other people for what's happening. You have to take responsibility for yourself. And if somebody says, no, you can't, oh, really? I'm going to do maybe 10 times as harder to prove you wrong.
Okay.
Somebody tells me I can't. Ooh, don't ever tell me that.
Hold on 1 second. Hold that thought. We're going to come back in a couple of seconds to find out exactly why does I can't bother Robin. Stay tuned to Livewire at 6. Livewire at 6. I'm Natalie Evans, your host. Don't forget, viewers, if you have a call, if there's any questions you want to ask Miss Gage, she's right here. Just make sure that you look at the bottom of your screen and dial that number. Robin, I can't.
That's right. My father, anything. It was a lot of emotional abuse. And
Evans, your host. Don't forget, viewers, if you have a call, if there's any questions you want to ask Miss Gage, she's right here. Just make sure that you look at the bottom of your screen and dial that number. Robin, I can't.
That's right. My father, it started with my father. He says, you'll never amount to anything. It was a lot of emotional abuse, and you'll never, do this or that. And I always wanted to be, into acting and entertainment, whether it was behind or in front of the scenes. My father told me I couldn't. I had to do, like a woman has to do, twice as much work to get half the pay. In order to get his attention, my sister could screw up 6 ways from Sunday, and that's okay. But I screwed up, see, but the thing I didn't realize is my father knew what I was capable of doing. I didn't see it.
Okay.
So I would continuously fail. I wasn't afraid of failure, I was afraid of success. It's like, oh my God, now what do I do?
Right, right.
So when he died, that was the turning point. And my aunt, his sister said, you know, your father believed in you and know you. I said, but why didn't he ever tell me that? He did, but he just, hit me over the head with a hammer instead of a feather. And I didn't realize till after he was gone. I'm like, okay, well, it was like a complete 360. It's like, why didn't he tell? But I understand why. I'm not making excuses for why he put me through the emotional abuse, but I understood why he did it.
What are your plans? What are your plans for you?
What I really, really would like to do is be the female Montel Williams. I like Oprah, but Montel, he is really good to watch, especially when he's got teens on his show. He doesn't put up with anything from them. He says, hey, now wait a minute. And he gets in their face. He's not soft with them. And he says, well, what are you going to do if you can't, your mother won't let you out to see your boyfriend, you're going to cry about it? I'm like, if that's what these kids need, then that's what they need. And I'm not going to be soft with them either. Now, one thing I really love to do is to talk to groups of young women. We're talking 14, 15, maybe all the way up to 25, about why they allow men to treat them the way they do. Men wouldn't treat them like that if they wouldn't allow it. Men are not to blame. Well, he got me pregnant and left me. Excuse me, it took two people. Well, my man beat up on me. Do you know how to leave? I realize that some women have got it in their minds that I can't leave, I love him. I understand that. But you have to dig deep within yourself and tell yourself, I am worth more than what this man is treating me.
So when the viewer who's watching the show is sitting in that particular type of scenario, what type of advice would you give her? She has the desire, but probably not the resources. What would you do? How would you?
Oh, the resources. That's what's hard, because right now I've read Barbara Scher's book, how I could do anything if I only knew how. I thought, I already know what I want to do.
This is our studio.
Yeah, exactly. I already know what I want to do, but I'm at a standstill because I don't know who to ask. I even called the Speakers Bureau in LA, and all this lady wanted to do is sell me her tapes and books. I'm like, no, you don't understand. No. You don't seem to understand. I would like to do what you're doing, but I want to, target groups of young women and start talking to them about, taking responsibility, not being witchy about it, but taking responsibility and saying, I feel good about myself, and if you hit me again, you're out of here. If you treat me like this, I'm out of here.
So you're talking about developing the self-esteem,
You have to like yourself. I didn't like myself a lot. 10 years ago, oh no. I blamed everybody for my problems. Here I trusted this man, I loved him, but that's a woman's nature.
Right.
I had 3 of his children, and he cheats on me. So it was hard, and I thought, well, wait a minute, it's not his fault, or it's not my fault. It's not my fault he cheated. I had nothing to do with it. It's his responsibility, and I'm not going to keep bashing myself over the head about it. I'm just going to say, fine, if that's what you want to do. I've become more accepting and more tolerant of what other people do.
Okay, so back to the person for resources. Weave is one organization that's supposed to be out there. And I'm quite sure that there are some others that we're probably not that familiar with. When you have a young person who's in a situation of, let's say, being homeless, how would you handle that?
That's really hard for me to understand. I can understand some of them, but women with children, there's welfare. Come on. And then somebody says, well, you do know how hard it is to get into an apartment, and I didn't realize you had to come up with $1,000 to get in. I said, okay, and I understand. But I feel really sorry for them because the family unit's falling apart. There's no support anymore. The parents, I know, some of them have to work. I worked. My mother worked. We were all fine. It was quality time, not quantity time. But I feel really sorry for them, and I have helped out homeless families before. I was at the grocery store. She had tiny twins. I think they were a year old.
Really?
I said, look, I need somebody to come and babysit my kids. Would you like a job? And so she had a job. She worked for me. I let her stay there, and I got on the phone with the Twins Club, and they got her resources, and they got her on her feet. I just can't sit back, especially with kids like that, and just ignore it. I can help. I help when I can, but I am not God. I can't help everybody.
So what is it? We have 1 minute left in the show. the first thing I'd like to say is I thank you very much for coming, but what is it? What's the one sentence, Robin, that you would like to relay to a young teenager, female or male, who's being very discouraged at this particular point in time because of whatever their scenario is?
Allow themselves to get angry. It's okay. Allow themselves to cry. That's okay, because that's cleansing. But then pick yourself up, wipe yourself off, and going, okay, this is my destiny. I have nobody else to answer to but me. And just answer to yourself. And if you have to put yourself in a little bubble for a little while, then do it. Don't let outside interference keep you from doing what you want to do.
I want to thank you very much for coming to the show this evening. I enjoyed you totally and immensely. All right.
That was a half hour, went by fast.
I want to thank you viewers for watching us, and definitely tune in next week for Livewire at 6. Good night.